A very good morning to everyone present here. The Civil Engineering Students Association of Don Bosco College of Engineering, in collaboration with the Goa Heritage Action Group, are organizing this webinar on traditional water bodies of Goa. We have with us today Mr. Alinto Coelho, the chairman of Goa Heritage Action Group. We also have our speaker for the day, Engineer Sandeep Nadkarni. I request Mr. Nashul Das to kindly introduce the speaker for today.
Our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. S.T. Nadkarni, graduated as a civil engineer from the Bombay University in the year 1981, followed by his MTech, TAM, LLB, CIC, CES, and MBA from the Goa Institute of Management. He is a member of various professional bodies like the Fellow of Institution of Engineers, Fellow of Indian Waterworks Association, the FIAH, the FIBE, FIV. He is also an active member of the Life Member of Indian Council of Arbitration, also known as MICA. He started off his career as a site engineer with the Dempo Engineering Services, leveling up to be a technical assistant, executive engineer, and working his way all up to a consulting engineer and a valuer that he is now. He also is a part of various social organizations and committees. He has extensive experience in the field of hydrology, water resources, estimation and valuation, environment, hydraulic structures, irrigation, anti-sea erosion works, floods and drainage, and tourism, just to name a few. We warmly welcome you to this webinar, sir. Now over to you.
Thank you. Thank you all. First and foremost, I was told on Wednesday to give a webinar. Can you hear me properly? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So I was told to talk about traditional water bodies in Goa. Now, what I've done is the first 9 slides are the introduction part to this traditional water bodies, and I would like to dwell very fast on that because they are. But without that, I cannot go into the main theme. So going into the first this, can we start the? Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can we
Please,
start this?
Yes.
Yeah. Next slideshow. Can we start, please? Yeah. So basically, I will not go into much details about this, but this cites the importance of water. Next, please. Next slide. This is about how important and how much is the actual fresh water compared to all the water which is available in on the earth. This slide shows you the composition of our body and how much water is there in our body, how much percentage of our water is constituted, our body is constituted with. Next, please. This is one of the one slide before, please. One slide before. Yeah. This is one of the no, one slide before. One slide before. Once, yeah. Why was this thing is very important for us? Yeah, one slide before. Yeah, this is one of the most important cycle for any water resource engineer because it's called as hydrological cycle or the water cycle. It is basically how water moves right from the oceans and sea and from the surface to the atmosphere and back to the earth and then to the again water bodies. So basically we classify it into two resources, that is the surface water resource and the groundwater resource. Though they are both independent, they are interconnected and they are linked by the same hydrological cycle. Next, please. Next, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. Hello. Yeah. Anyway, I will not go into much detail about this, but this gives a pictorial description of 9 river bodies of Goa. And you can see the length within the state, length within the salinity zone, and the basin areas of the river bodies. Basically, we have two major river bodies, that is the Zuari and the Mandovi, which constitute about Madai itself constitute about 42.7%, and Zuari a little about 30%. So basically, these are two main river bodies. Next, please. And, though the state receives a bountiful of rainfall, averaging to about 3,000 mm annually, it is restricted for 4 months, and hence we receive a lot of water stresses in the months of April and May. In the post-monsoon period, affluent river flows start dwindling, and a few rivers and rivulets remain perennial. Most of the rivers in Goa are intermittent rivers. Basically, rivers are classified as perennial, non-perennial, and intermittent. Intermittent rivers are those which flows of which gets dwindle in the non-perennial times. All the rivers in the states are prone to tidal effects and salinity almost 50% of its length. Though the aquifers get recharged, the migration of groundwater is also fast, resulting in temporal depletion of groundwater tables in some areas. The major storage schemes fall in the reserve forest or wildlife sanctuaries. Next, please. Next slide. I'll come to the main theme of my presentation. That are the traditional or water bodies in the state of Goa. The water bodies in the state of Goa can be classified into the following categories. First is the waterfall, the springs, the mandaras or bunds, wells, and the tanks. Not waterfall, it's the tanks. Next, please. Next slide. Next slide. Hello. So basically, waterfalls are they occur. One slide before. Yeah, waterfall is a phenomena where there is a fall or drop in gradient due to physiographic conditions. Some of the waterfalls are Dudhsagar Falls, Harwale Fall, Ladkecho Ozor, Neturi Falls, etc. The falls dissipate energy and biodiversity thrives due to this humidity which it creates. The main falls like Dudhsagar, etc., they fall in the reserve forest areas. Most of the falls dwindle during the non-monsoon period as the feeder rivulets are intermittent in nature. Next, I have given you, I am just depicting some pictures of 3 major falls. Next, please. Next, please. Next. On the left-hand side is the famous Dudhsagar Falls, which originate from 2 nalas or rivulets, that is the Katla and Palna, which originate in Karnataka, come down as this water Dudhsagar Falls, and results into the Dudhsagar Nadi, or which is also known as Khandepar Nadi, and this is a tributary of river Madai or Mandovi. Next is the Harwale Fall on the right hand side top, which is on the Kudne River, which is also a tributary of Madai River. and a small but picturesque fall. Once you go there, but you'll find is the Ladkicho Ozor on the right hand side bottom. It the picture is very small, but it is very picturesque in nature in the Madai Wildlife Sanctuary, and this is on the Sulla River, and which is also a tributary of River Madai. Next, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Now coming to the springs, basically water from the atmosphere condenses and comes down to the surface of the water, of surface of the earth. Then it gets accumulated in the, which is known as surface detention. Then it starts infiltrating into the ground and percolating downwards, forming the groundwater and the aquifers. The water from this aquifer normally follow the physiography of the area, and this emerge out as the surface water, normally at the foot of the hills or plateaus. Thus, spring is a phenomena wherein groundwater emerges out as the surface water, basically at the foothills or of the hills or plateaus. Since the groundwater, while migrating, carries the essence of the ground by dissolving minerals, etc., some of the springs like Rivona Spring, Pomburpa, Masoda, etc., are said to have medicinal properties. The springs are characterized by their recharge areas. Springs dwindle during the post-monsoon period. Some of the known springs are Pomburpa Springs, Rivona Springs, Masoda Spring, the Salmona Spring, the Udia Spring, Tambora Springs. One of the rivers, that is the Sal River, originates from 5 springs around the Verna Plateau. Next, please. Yeah, I've tried to depict 4 springs here, major springs. One is the Pomurpa Spring, which was a few years back renovated by GTDC. Then next is the Rivona Spring, which is said to have medicinal properties. Then also the Salmona Spring, and last but not the least is this. So these 4 springs I have tried to depict in my this. Next, please. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. While on the subject of springs, I would like to bring to your notice 2 fantastic springs which are found in the capital city of Panjim, which are very unique. These springs are basically fed by horizontal tunnels which tap the groundwater from the recharge areas, basically the Altino Hill, and feed to the springs. The feeder channels are horizontal sloping wells like the structures which are akin to ancient kanats or karis in the Persian areas. One thing I would like to share is Goa had a very good trade relations during a very pre-colonial rule with the Persia. And some of you might have heard about the port at Gopakapattam, which was very famous for this. So we feel that these are kanats or karis which were constructed by this, and the facade was constructed during the colonial times. The feeder channels are very old, however, the frontage structures were constructed during the colonial rulers. One is the Bok the Wag Spring at near in the Panjim near Mahalakshmi Temple, and other is the Phoenix Spring at Mala. Next, please. Now, coming to the diversion structures, men have been, whole civilization is said to have thrived on the banks of the river. And our ancient people who are in the state have been using this water from the rivers by constructing various bunds for diverting it for various uses like drinking, irrigation, etc. Normally, diversion structures may be classified into following categories. One is weirs. They are obstructions. They are obstructions. They are obstructions flowing across obstruction across the flowing water body to create storage or diversion. In Goa, we have a Ogi type weir at Paroda and Kolem on Khandepar River. These are very old weirs, means of more than 80 to 90 years old. These are diversion structures constructed during the colonial times. The Paroda Canal is very famous for its Lisbon gates as well as the various modular openings which are fitted on this water structure. Next. Next, please. The barrages or bandaras. The barrages are structures which impound or divert water with gates. There are two major barrages constructed across Khandepar River and Madai River. One is at Opa and one is at Ganjai on Madai River. Bandaras are constructed either to store water as post-monsoon harvesting measures or to divert the water. The bandaras are constructed in series, with the last one to stop the saline intrusion. Next, please. No, before that. Before this, before. One slide before this. Yeah. One slide before this. Next one, please. Next one. Next one. Next one. Next one. Next, yeah. Thank you. Bunds. Lot of bunds have been constructed to divert the water for various uses. In Goa itself, some of us might have heard about Khazan lands. We have about 433 kilometers of earthen bunds to protect about 18,521 hectares of Khazan land. The uniqueness of these bunds are these bunds have a sluice gate which is automatic and regulates the flow in the interior body, which is known as points. These gates are automatic, which open during the low tides and close during the high tides. These khazans are managed as a community project since ancient times, which are known as Gaonkari. And the Portuguese, after studying the system, came up with similar management known as comunidades. Next. Next, please. These are some pictorial representations of the bandaras at various places. These are mainly on Khandepar River, which help us in maintaining the water requirement of at Opa water treatment plant. Next. Next. Now coming to wells. Wells are basically these hydraulic structures which tap or draw water from the groundwater aquifer. In Goa, we have got basically two type of aquifers. One is the surface unconfined or semi-confined aquifer, which is the lateritic rock, or the deep confined aquifer, which are faults, folds, or this in the deep Precambrian metamorphic rocks. So this wells try to tap the groundwater aquifer and draw water from this from the same. Basically, we have three type of wells. One is the dug wells, which are found throughout the state and tap the top unconfined or semi-confined aquifer. They are normally 4 meters in diameter and depth varies with the aquifer. These are traditional well and existed near a house or a dwelling during the earlier era when piped water supply was not in existence. Some dug wells are also used for irrigation purposes. Then we have got the drilled or the bore wells. These normally tap the confined aquifer and are drilled or bored. In Goa, the bore wells are usually successful in the plateau region and vary between 15 to 60 meter below the ground level. Sunk wells. These wells are sunk and are used in the sandy strata in the coastal areas. They are normally 2 to 2.5 meter diameter and are sunk to tap the top semi-confined aquifer, specifically in the sandy region. Next. Next. Next slide, please. Regarding tanks. Tank is a technical word used for either a lake, pond, or submergence, or a storage created by a dam or a headwork. The tank may be classified as follows. One is the storage tank. These storage tanks are created by surface water from basins which are the contributing area into the tank. Some of the storage tanks are the Salauli Dam, Anjuna Dam, Amthane Dam, Mahisal or the Panchwadi Dam, Chapoli Dam, and the Gaune Dam. Earliest documentation on construction of dam in Goa was the Mokambika Dam near the Kadamba Plateau, built during the Kadamba rule. One instance of a dam built by the colonial regime was the Bondwal Lake at Santa Cruz. Post-colonial regime, in addition to the 5 major dams, a few minor dams were built like the Sarzora tank, the Karpale tank, etc. Next. These are some of pictorial representation of the storage dams. First is the Sarauli, Anjune, the Maisal, the Chapoli, and the Panchwad Gaune dam. Next is the spring-fed tank and storage cum spring-fed tanks. These tanks are available throughout the state of Goa. Some are major and unique tanks which are storage cum spring-fed tanks, which are dated even earlier to the colonial regime, which namely the Verna tank, the Bati tank, the Karamoli tank. These tanks which existed during the pre-colonial times. There was a saying that any cattle lost could be found near the Karamoli lake to highlight the vastness of this submergence. These tanks have a huge basin and also strive on the contribution from the groundwater in the basin areas. One unique feature of this lake was that the tank or the lake bed was cultivated, and in the month of September the gates were closed to store the water to supply to cultivation downstream. These tanks are frequented by many migratory birds. These types of tanks are a unique feature of the various religious institutions also. The tanks of major temples like Mangeshi, Nageshi, Ramnathi, and even some religious institutions, and unique tank at Safa Masjid are really to be appreciated. These are many unique storage and spring-fed tanks in the state used for cultivating crop gardens. Some of the tanks are tanks at Velim, Chikalim, Betalbati, etc. One of unique feature which I've noticed is in some cases, especially in Chikali and Benauli and that side, if there are some tanks in sequences, and when one tank gets filled up, all the tanks in sequence get filled up. So these are all age-old tanks and need to be restored to its original glory. Next. These are some pictorial representation of Bati tank, the Verna tank, the Karamoli tank, the Bondwal tank, the unique tank at Safa Masjid also, and so on. Next. These are some of the tanks, that is Maya Lake, the Saptakoteshwar tank at Diwad, the temple tank at Veling. These are some of the and also temple tank at Nageshi. These are very unique and architecturally pleasing tanks. So summarizing, I would say that water is limited, demand is on the increase. There is a need to optimize this precious resource. Protecting, conserving, and rejuvenating and improving the existing water structures is the need of the hour. We in Goa have got a lot of such traditional water bodies, and it is our and each water body is has a site specific property. There are many tanks in Kurtari which I've seen are very unique. There are tanks in North also. There are tanks in Salset also. So all these tanks are very unique and they are site specific and need to be rejuvenated to its earlier glory and utilization also. So I think thank you, and this is what I wanted to present in a small way. So if there are any difficulties or questions, I think
If he has any questions, you all can either unmute yourselves and ask, or you all could type it in the chat box also.
to
Participants have any questions?
May I ask something?
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Okay, I have a sloping side where my house is, and there is a lot of springs which are under the house on the side, and during the monsoons it gets recharged, and there's a continuous flow. Is there
yeah.
some way where I can harvest that? Because I have recharged my well with the spring water. Is there any other system that I could?
You can, I can definitely tell you, you can recharge it, but solutions are site specific. One has to have a collection tank or this if possible. It depends on how
Yes.
much area you have. If you can tap it down and channel it into your well or any water body or a tank, I think you can harvest it, but it depends on site specificity. I cannot offhand say tell you, but if you want, I can come one day and guide you in this.
That will be fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm in Kalangut, Goa.
yeah.
So
So,
I could
so Mrs. Rita Modi, yeah, nice to meet you. But I think one should know how to harvest it. But I think one could do it if you have got space.
I have put a tank already, rainwater harvesting tank and water tank.
Oh, what?
But even that overflows. So
No.
it, it,
Look,
there has to be.
natural. It's a very natural phenomena. What actually happens is in Goa we have a top surface. If you see our hydrogeology, I mean geological formation, it is top lateritic soil, followed by laterites, which are various about 7 to 8 meters, followed by clay, and then we have got the Precambrian metamorphic rocks. So basically, well, the laterite formation is forms the means follows the physiography of the area, and when the water seeps, the groundwater naturally follows this physiographic area and comes out at normally at foothills or on the slopes, and that are known as springs. So basically, you should know how to tap them. Then I think that would be wonderful. And I think it is
I have
everybody's water. So if you allow it to be utilized downstream also, it would be
I
fantastic
have
also. Yeah. See. Yeah.
so I've made two wells also to harvest that with a tank. and
Yeah.
still it's very difficult. And so at certain points, I don't know, there must be so many aquifers or springs that it comes from underneath the steps also. I have landscape steps, so it flows underneath the steps also. It's like um, I don't know, it's beautiful,
No, I
but
understand. You can make it more beautiful also if you understand the mechanism of it and try to tap as much as possible and allow the rest to go downstream for other persons to use.
thank
Because
you.
normally it goes back to the riverine system. It has to go.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, I had a question.
Yeah.
The government has keeps coming up with these proposals of beautification of lakes and water bodies.
Yeah.
What are your precautionary? What do you caution against beautification of lakes? Because
Look,
beautification also comes in the form of high mast lighting.
look. Basically, who does the beautification is Goa Tourism Development Corporation, and basically lakes are with Water Resource Department. And I think one should understand hydrogeology and the mechanics and the working of this tank before deciding on the beautification. There's nothing wrong in doing beautification, but one has to understand its mechanism. Because I've seen that sometimes even the without understanding, they provide without this, they just provide some concrete walls and stop all the springs from coming into the tank, and then tanks get I think depleted or they are in very bad condition later on. So beautification is okay, but one should understand it should go hand in hand. I think rejuvenation is a better word for any tank which can be beautified. Going back to original this with some slight modification, understanding the mechanics of it would go a long way in beautifying this tank. Yeah. Alinta, I hope I
Yeah.
cleared your doubt. Yeah.
Anybody has any other questions?
Sir, I have a question for you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, it is regarding Fort Aguado. In one of the video clippings, I have seen that there is some storage available in Fort Aguado. So I
Yeah.
have not personally seen it, sir, but I have just seen a video clipping. So is there any way that this can be put into use?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I also seen it, and Fort Aguada was actually the first rainwater harvesting structure built in Goa, I think, on a massive scale. Uh, Maybe it was done with the purpose of providing water for ships, basically, and but the internal conduits and this, the system was really fantastic. They have actually excavated that area, used the laterite stone for constructing that fort, and then provided conduits or caves to take that water right up to that Fort Aguada near Fort Aguada Hotel. There's a round well which used to supply water for ships. So it's a fantastic this how, but to store that water, I think it is definitely possible, because all the whole the floor of the fort slopes towards that cistern, and that cistern is quite huge. I think about if I'm not wrong, about 11 lakh cubic meter uh, is the capacity of that tank. So it's quite huge, and one can work on that to have a small uh, I think treatment plant to supply water also to the nearby villages. One has to think out of the box. I think your this is fantastic. I had also gone there, uh, but my this I could visualize what the earlier people had done, I think one has to. It is with the Archaeology Survey of India, but they have to be actually impress upon them that this is a the what remote harvesting structure, and we need to make it operational. I think that would be a feather in the cap of all the Goans.
Very true, sir. Very true. In fact, sir, North Goa, as we all know, is reeling under water shortage problems, sir. This issue is cropping up again and again of water shortage in North Goa, and this can be an excellent solution. I will
Yeah,
request Goa Heritage Group to take up this matter with archaeological
survey.
department.
Yes, Survey of India.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
Survey
yeah,
of India.
yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Anybody else has any other questions?
Can I speak?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. This is architect Royla Fernandez from Benoli.
Yeah.
And I appreciate this workshop taken by the students of the Civil Engineering Department of Kolkata. And thank you, sir, for the informed presentation. Sir, I have a query and also a request.
Yeah.
What has happened is we are all working towards rainwater harvesting and restoring our water bodies.
Yeah.
But the government themselves in Benoli is working its way to destroy a major water catchment area. The
You
Western
mean
bypass.
bypass?
Yes, the Western bypass. I have been appealing to the Water Resource Department. In fact, from the Water Resource Department, they have given us uh, in the site inspection that the Western bypass, if on stilts, would create that balance in ecology as well as the environment. But the PWD department is headstrong to go ahead. We have appealed to the NGT also. The matter is pending before the NGT, which is to be heard on the 10th of November now. And while it's being still in the courts, the government has started reclamation. How can the Goa Heritage Group also intervene and help us? Because as individuals, as locals, we are fighting this battle. We are trying to restore
Yeah, I know,
small
I
water
know.
bodies, whereas here
I,
a major
I know,
calamity is
I
said
know,
to be
I know,
happening.
I know. Look, I retired 2 years back, and that time, uh, I would like to state that when any river crossing or any water body has to be crossed, uh, normally any department, PWD, GSIDC, have to take a permission of Water Resource Department before crossing, because they have to actually find out what is the flow area required and other things, how much, what should be the sea level and all that determination, what would be the high flood level and all that has to be determined. And however, as I remember during my time, until 2 years back, I retired about in November 2019. Until then, they had not taken the permission. That I would like to say. One more thing is that I know that there are many water bodies. Constructing this CD works across water bodies is not a issue. But I would like to state that there are some flows, which there are some sheet flows across fields. Normally, it happens in throughout Goa. Water doesn't flow in some channels, but flows in sheets and goes into directly into the riverine system. So there are some sheet flow. This also in this catchment area of this whatever I would say. But I don't want to be controversial. But I feel that it is not being well thought of in that this. Though it is a asset, I think it should have been done in a more systematic manner. Yeah, and I feel that yeah, on stills also, or they could have done it into by putting uh, just lot many chambers. They have to determine how much flow actually goes there, and then you means determine the sea level, the flood level, and then decide how much waterway they have to keep and what type. Providing pipes will not
Box
work,
culverts.
which normally they do. Anyway, I would not like to this, but a detailed study is necessary for this before anything. They have to appoint a detailed water resource engineer for this purpose, and one has to study in detail. A third party, this would be a better option, I think.
Yes, yeah. Can the Goa Heritage Group at some point visit, and also, since we are working towards conservation, this is the topic also we've taken. Maybe I'm not saying immediately, but at least in the near future, visit and also work with us to protect this land.
Yes,
We are
we
not
can
against.
definitely do that. No, we
We,
can
we,
definitely do that. We have
we would like to
already.
state again that we are not against the bypass, neither are we saying that we want to stop it. We are only asking for stills so that we can have a sustainable development for the village and for Goa.
Madam, I would like to state that look, still should be provided where it is necessary,
Yes,
and that area should be earmarked. And crossing water bodies, one should be very, very careful. EIA studies have to be necessary because I think they have already crossed one big tank at
Nuve,
no, at
Nuve,
Nuve, then the
Nuve,
Naveli also.
Naveli also. In Benauli and Serauli area, there are three major water bodies which are in the reclamation area. So we've been trying to bring this to their notice. NGT has given directions. Now it's only for the state government. And as you say, I feel a third party or a third agency would be the right person to give the site inspection and proper reports rather than the government departments themselves. No doubt the government has given, the Water Resource Department has given favorable reports. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else has any other questions?
I think the students have to be much more inquisitive because look, when we were there, we were very, very inquisitive, asking a lot of questions. I think my friends from Domesco are very much intelligent students. I need not harp on their IQ levels because whatever you learn is learning comes from discussions, not from seeing slides and this. One has to learn.
I have a question.
Yeah, Lindu.
Yeah, could you throw some light on the GPRS positioning of these water bodies which has been taken up by the department?
Look, during our time, my time, that is, I think some 3-4 years back, we started actually garnering the inventory of water bodies, basically tanks, in the state of Goa. We have already, I think, GPS positioning of wells under the Groundwater Regulation Act for 4 states was already over during that time. So we started GPS positioning and inventorying of the water bodies, especially tanks in the state of Goa. I think some 2-3, if I'm not wrong, 2-3 talukas have already been completed. They have come out with booklets. I would have brought that because they had given me. I had started that, and they've done a wonderful booklet which gives the GPS positioning, the amount of this. Submergence, what is the command area, what type of uh, tank it is, and the coordinate GPS coordinates of that. So this would go a long way in any person wanting to study any water body in the state of Goa. So 3-4, I think, if I'm not wrong, 3-4 talukas are already complete. Sattari they were doing, Bicholi they were already completed Vasco, then Marmugao, and one more taluka. 4 talukas they have already completed, I think, of tanks, and they've done a wonderful job, I would say, because they had come to me in the middle and they showed me that this booklet. It was a wonderful job which was done, and I think I've told them also to keep it on also on public portal if possible, so that every person in Goa knows about such water tanks, except some major dams which require some sort of privacy due to some protection under Special Monuments Act. So, except those, others can be on a portal, on that portal of water resources. So let's see. I'll be in touch with the chief engineer and try to get these things done, because it's one of my baby, and I think it should come out in a nice way. So Alinto, I'll just show you that book whenever we meet.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your questions. On behalf of the Civil Engineering Students Association of Don Bosco College of Engineering, I would like to thank you, Engineer Sandeep Nadkarni, for spending your valuable time with us and for your insightful session on the traditional water bodies of Goa. I'm sure all of us must have learned something really valuable from this session. Thanks a lot, sir. I would also like to thank the chairman of Goa Heritage Action Group, Mr. Alinto Coelho, for being with us here today. Lastly, I would like to thank all the participants for attending today's webinar. Once again, thank you everyone and have a wonderful weekend ahead.